For 3 years, I received anonymous, typed letters claiming my husband was cheating on me until I found the exact typewriter used to write them, hidden in my mother-in-law's attic. And tonight, I brought it to dinner. Brenda was the kind of mother-in-law who wore pastel cardigans and baked her own sourdough, but looked at me like I was a stain on her perfect white rug. She specialized in the slow, quiet bleed of 1,000 paper cuts. She would say things like, "Oh, you're wearing that dress? How brave of you." The letters started arriving shortly after our wedding, always in the mail, always with no return address, typed on heavy, cream-colored paper. The lowercase letter E was always chipped at the top. They said things like, "He is already bored of you, and you are just a placeholder." I spent nights crying on the cold bathroom floor, driving myself absolutely insane with paranoia. We went to couples therapy for an entire year. Jake swore he was faithful, but the poison kept dripping in the mail. Then came the attic. Last month, Brenda asked me to help organize her holiday decorations. She sent me upstairs to the dusty attic to grab a box marked winter clothes. As I lifted it, the bottom completely gave out. Old sweaters fell onto the floorboards, and so did a heavy vintage Smith Corona typewriter. Inside the case was a stack of that exact same cream-colored paper. I pulled out the top sheet. It was a practice draft of a letter I received 2 weeks prior, featuring Brenda's cursive handwriting crossing out words to make the insults punchier. I hit the letter E against the paper, chipped at the top. Something inside of me went completely ice cold. I carefully packed the heavy box up, took a deep breath, and went downstairs like nothing happened. I knew a private confrontation wouldn't be enough. She needed to feel the exact same public humiliation she secretly forced on me. Fast forward to tonight, our 5-year anniversary. Brenda insisted on hosting a massive dinner, inviting 20 of our closest family members. Halfway through dinner, Brenda tapped her crystal glass with a silver spoon. The room went dead silent. She stood up beaming. "I just want to say," she started, her voice dripping with fake sweetness, "how proud I am of Jake and Chloe. Marriage is hard work. It takes resilience. To see you two overcome so many mysterious hurdles, it just warms my heart. To family." Everyone happily raised their glasses. I slowly stood up from my chair. "Thank you so much, Brenda," I said. "And actually, I have a gift for you." I pulled out a heavy box wrapped in gold paper and slid it across the tablecloth. "Go ahead, open it." Brenda looked confused but played along for the crowd. She ripped the paper. All the color drained from her face. It was the vintage typewriter. The entire table was dead silent. "I found this in your attic," I announced. I reached into my purse, pulled out the stack of cream-colored letters and slammed them onto the table, along with the drafts of these. Jake's eyes went incredibly wide. He knew what they were. "For 3 long years," I said, "someone has been sending me anonymous hate mail, trying to convince me my husband was cheating, tearing my sanity completely apart. But it turns out, the lowercase e on your machine has a very specific chip in it." Brenda stammered. "Chloe, you are confused." "Am I?" I interrupted loudly. "Because your handwriting is literally on the drafts, Brenda." Jake stood up, his chair scraping violently against the floor. He looked at the typewriter, then at the letters, and then at his mother. "Mom," he whispered, looking absolutely sick to his stomach. "Tell me this isn't real." Brenda looked around the table, 20 people, all staring at her in complete disgust. Her perfect, crafted image shattered into a million pieces. She started crying, an ugly cry, trying to reach for Jake's hand. Jake pulled back like she was on fire. He didn't say another word. He just grabbed his coat, looked at me, and said, "Let's go." We walked out the front door, leaving Brenda sobbing at the head of a silent table. The crushing weight was finally lifted off my shoulders. I left the letters and the typewriter with her.